your initial launch phase, you kind of want to make sure that you're going to be indexing for the right keywords. And early on, Amazon has a kind of a honeymoon period. So you're more likely to rank for things that you normally wouldn't rank for. And Amazon's just trying to figure out, what leads to a conversion. And if you don't know anything else about Amazon, one of the things that they're proud of is they're the most customer-centric brand on earth. And what this means is that they don't put products in front of people that aren't going to sell. So your conversion rate around keywords and your ability to get sales when people search certain keywords will dictate how you rank.
Our guest today is Haire. Will runs a full-service Amazon agency called Bellavix. He has worked with multiple e-commerce businesses and helped them to launch and scale their businesses on Amazon. On top of that, Bellavix was just named the top Amazon SEO agency in 2021 by SEOblog.com, and this is no surprise based on the wealth of experience and knowledge Will has. In our conversation, we talked about a lot of topics related to launching and optimizing your brand on Amazon. We covered, for example, the different phases of a product lifecycle on Amazon, how to optimize your listing SEO on Amazon, elements every listing should have and what common mistakes should be avoided, how to optimize the product reviews, benchmarks and expectations you should keep in mind when running an Amazon store, how Bellavix is leveraging different tools in order to get better results, suggested tools every Amazon seller should know, and much more.
Welcome to the EcomXFactor podcast, where it's all about launching and scaling your business using sales funnels, automations, and smart marketing. And now, please welcome your host, the founder of EcomXFactor, Yaron.
Hi Will, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Very excited for our conversation. As I told you before we just started, I have no Amazon knowledge whatsoever. So I'm hoping that you can provide a lot of value, and I'm sure that you'll provide a lot of value and knowledge.
I'm excited. I'm happy to talk knowledge, Amazon here. And I know I listen to your podcast, you get a lot of Facebook tips. So I'm happy to return the favor.
Awesome. Cool. So can you tell us, me and the listeners, what exactly you guys are doing in Bellavix?
Yes, Bellavix is a marketplace management company. So we help brands kind of establish a presence on the world's largest marketplace, which is Amazon and Walmart. We do things like manage the day-to-day operations of the account. We do marketing and SEO strategies. We do brand protection and customer service. And we also do advertising on different Amazon platforms, but we actually advertise on and off Amazon. We're essentially a turnkey agency for your marketplace needs. A lot of our clients are retail brands that have national distribution. They run into a lot of problems around like MAP policy and what all that means. So that's just a bit about us and who we are and who we represent. But I'm really excited to be here to talk about some strategies that your listeners who are thinking about Amazon or currently on Amazon could implement to just kind of help get into the marketplace and start making some money.
Sounds good. So how would the onboarding process look like if I start using Amazon, and what should I expect in regards to how should I optimize SEO, PPC, stuff like that? I know it's like asking for the whole, like it's a very wide question, but maybe just point out like from 10,000 feet, like an overview of the process and what should one expect and how should one approach this?
Absolutely. So let me caveat it by saying there's lots of different ways to make money on Amazon. If you go on YouTube and search, seller or how to sell something, you'll get a lot of different variations. So as an agency, we specialize in helping brands, so established retail brands, actually grow their presence on Amazon. And what this means is that they're investing their time into building their brand. Their brand is trademarkable, and they're establishing a larger presence. We like to say 50% of growth happens on Amazon and the other 50% happens off of Amazon. And Amazon as a marketplace has moved more to be brand oriented. What that means is that I don't specialize in wholesale or retail arbitrage. So the advice, what I talk about today will be more relevant to that. There'll be just some generalities that will go across the board, but best practices and strategies that I'm going to talk about with you are going to be based on that specific type of seller. So jumping into getting kicked off on Amazon, not to drag it out, but you'll need to get a bank account, an LLC. And the brands we work with will be some type of principal trademark on your logo or word art. If you don't have that, there's programs that we can get you through to get on there. And then depending on your category, so there was a legislation passed maybe like a year and a half ago, pretty much stating that Amazon and other marketplaces are responsible for what happens to the customers, the end users on that platform. And so since then, what we've seen is that it's harder in topical or ingestible categories to get into these categories. And it just means that you have to have category approval. If you are selling supplements, you might have to have certificates of analysis and even some food, so Amazon knows you're legit and you're not selling something that's going to get a lot of people sick. So the process to actually get started on Amazon is a bit longer than it used to be, but usually within 72 hours, if you're a really simple category, you could be up and selling and enrolled in some of the programs to get started. Once you have that, you need to have a SKU. If you don't have a SKU, you could do an FN SKU through Amazon. And then Amazon assigns all your specific products an ASIN. And this is kind of serial numbers, so Amazon can identify these products. And then it's off to the races. Let's talk about timelines. So if we're talking about how long does it take to grow, your brand, an unestablished brand on Amazon, it comes down to how competitive a specific category is. But generally, when we look at a launch, complete launch, like no brand awareness, we look at it in 3 phases. And each of these phases is about 6 months long and requires some type of investment into, a different mix of advertising strategies. So that 18-month window, you're looking to get your ROAS from, let's say, rough numbers, about 72 cents return on ad spend in phase 1 to over $1 to $1.50 in phase 2. And ideally by phase 3, your return on your investment is, $2 to $3. And that doesn't sound like a lot. And this is just super competitive categories or, where there's no brand presence. You got to think when you come onto Amazon and you're building your products, if you don't have a brand, if people aren't searching your brand, if you don't have a lot of reviews, you have to build up that customer base and you have to build up the quality of your listing. And that's something I'll talk about here in a little bit, but you kind of have to build it and it takes time. And you got to think at this point, there's been sellers in specific categories that have been selling for years. So this is why what I mentioned earlier, 50% of growth on Amazon happens off of Amazon and 50% happens on Amazon. I'll turn over to you if you have any. I feel like I've been droning on.
No, it's been very interesting. And I'm just wondering, is there a name for each phase? Can you dive a bit deeper into each phase? And what do you suggest doing?
Absolutely. So phase 1, we just literally have them 3 phases. So they're not named out, but it's the launch phase. So in this phase, the first 2 months, the first 60 days, we're looking at getting category approval, getting your listing optimized for search. And we have some strategies for that I could dive into. Your initial launch phase, you kind of want to make sure that you're going to be indexing for the right keywords. And early on, Amazon has a kind of a honeymoon period. So you're more likely to rank for things that you normally wouldn't rank for. And Amazon's just trying to figure out, what leads to a conversion. If you don't know anything else about Amazon, one of the things that they're proud of is they're the most customer-centric brand on earth. And what this means is that they don't put products in front of people that aren't going to sell. So your conversion rate around keywords and your ability to get sales when people search certain keywords will dictate how you rank. So what a lot of users make the mistake when they initially launch a brand is that they go into Amazon advertising and they just bid on every keyword under the sun with the goal of just seeing what hits. And what this does early on, it actually confuses Amazon's A9 search algorithm and it sends a lot of false positives. And what you'll notice, like anything else, when you start advertising, you might convert on some pretty weird words that you weren't intended to convert for. And what it does is sends false signals to the algorithm. So it starts kind of moving your listing in a direction that it shouldn't. So something we implement as part of the launch phase is called the PPRS, Pyramid Product Ranking Strategy. And I know there's tons of variations of this in the in the website world. But what it means, it's identifying a root keyword that you want to rank for. Let's just say I want to rank for Bluetooth speaker, because that makes it really easy for this example. And then, we do some keyword research and we figure out what are some long tail keywords that we want to rank for. And depending on the category you're competing in, we kind of group these as a pyramid. So we'll look for long tail keywords between 500 to 1,000 impressions. We'll look, the next tier will be 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000, and then so on and so forth. And we kind of group these keywords together and we just try to own very specific phrases so that we know, it's getting 500 impressions. We can convert 20 to 30% of the time. And we can own it. We get the Amazon Choice Badge or the best seller. So there's lots of reasons why targeting some of these lower volume keywords to get started is a great strategy to kind of build keyword ranking around your product. And it assumes long-term growth. So that's what the goal is. So in this specific example, waterproof Bluetooth speaker for a shower might be an excellent long tail keyword that you would update your listing. You would include it in your title. You would include some aspect of it on your bullets. And then you would also, have some lifestyle images of showing, this particular product hanging in the shower. So you're really going to own this keyword. And a lot of this can be done pretty cost effectively, especially the keyword relevancy. So updating your listings. What we want to be cautious of is not the keyword stuff, and make sure that you're using natural language and that you're focused. It's better to be, to get sales in, 2 or 3 really specific categories or keywords that have a lot of volume than it is to get no ranking and no sales and just be spread out across the board. In the launch phase, when we talk about, something that we would do as we're getting you launched, we would implement this strategy as part of onboarding. And then some of the things for you to consider, what's going to be our fulfillment. So your fulfillment might be FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon, and this is Prime, and then fulfilled by merchant, which is FBM. And that means that an order comes in and you'll fulfill it from your warehouse or wherever you fulfill your orders from. And so something else to consider when you're starting on Amazon, you're more likely to get sales with FBA. Like myself and anybody who shops at Amazon, like we've been trained to pretty much not wait more than 2 days to get something we really want. And so it eliminates a big portion. So that's something for you to keep in mind. And there, roughly 30% is just a rough number of fees you can expect to pay if you're using fulfillment by Amazon. If you're doing FBM, fulfillment by merchant, about 15%. Each category is different, but these are just some good general numbers to keep in mind. So the FBA, the referral fee, and the pick and pack, that's Amazon taking your product, putting it in a box with a smiley face and sending it to the end destination, is a 15% fee of the price. So 15% for pick and pack and 15% referral fee. And like I said, referral fee it's pretty much category agnostic, but the pick and pack fees kind of change.
Cool. This is a very comprehensive and very interesting. So just for this phase so far, is there any specific tools that you're using in order to do the keyword research?
Yeah, we have an internal software that we built out. So I won't, for you guys doing your own research, like a lot of agencies build out their own software and we have a deck we use. But some great tools out there would be SellZone. They're an SEM rush brand and they do a lot, but they have a keyword research tool. They have a split testing tool. They have a review request tool. So they're a pretty comprehensive tool and we like them a lot. Another really popular one is Helium 10. Bradley Sutton is a thought leader in the space and his software is pretty on point, as well as Jungle Scout. So those are 3 softwares that are kind of Amazon specific. Helium 10 is branching off into Walmart. So if you guys are considering either marketplace, that tool's now omni-channel, which is nice. But those are some tools we recommend.
Awesome, great. And with regards to the budgets, so obviously it depends on the brand and the resources. Would it make sense to enter as like a $20 every day, or what is like the minimum threshold?
Yeah, so when we start advertising, generally like $500 a month per parent product you want to advertise is the minimum. When we build out these 18-month budgets, we're looking for an investment of at least $750,000 to do it effectively. So to give just some grasp, so that's like just generic, and that's actually a pretty conservative number. So if you're launching, you have no presence, it takes time. And like I said, you're competing against established sellers with great reviews, and it takes time. And it takes a brand to conquer that space, which is why we specialize in helping brands on this specific platform.
And do you feel that as years go by, the trend is like smaller players are being pushed away from the game and it's not as easy as it was, and now only the big brands are more likely to survive?
To some degree, I think smaller brands can definitely come in and make an impact. I think if we've seen nothing else, it's that it's a great equalizer. If you have a really great quality product and you're building an audience of just ambassadors, you're going to do great on Amazon. You don't have to be a L'Oreal or a Procter & Gamble brand to have a presence. There's plenty of independent small business sellers that are just killing it on Amazon. but it's the brand element. It's the building the audience. That's the differentiator. And a lot of the strategies, I have a couple more strategies I plan on talking through today, but all of it's going to be geared around building your audience. And as a wholesaler and as somebody who does retail arbitrage, you're relying on somebody else to build that audience, which is why it's difficult. It's not impossible. And what that looks like, it's shaking up. And because of these restrictions, because Amazon's liable for what happens to the end user, because of all the counterfeiting issues that have come in from overseas, it's definitely going to be tough for non-brands to come in and just get that unicorn product. But don't get me wrong, there's always specific products that people are just agnostic to the brand, garlic press, lemon squeezers, we hear all the examples. But those, if you have a better widget, it might be enough. And a great way to find that out is look at negative reviews on some products, look at what is popular on Pinterest and other more visually appealing websites, see how it coincides with search results on Amazon. And that's a strategy you can implement to retail arbitrage, or see if you could just get something wholesale and make a quick buck.
Okay, so now we've finished like the first phase. What are like some benchmarks to assess if we've done a good job, if we needed to invest more in SEO or maybe more in PPC? Do you have like any like guidelines with regards to assessing how was the launch?
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be tied down to total ROAS. So what we would look at, on the low end, if every dollar invested, we generated, 50 cents, we would consider that not so great. And it's also pretty early. So generally we shoot between that, 75 cents under a dollar. If we did really well, $1 in, $1 out, it's going to be really good. And we're talking about just not an established brand. As I said, if you have a brand, if you're doing $1 million on your website, it's all going to carry over. So it's just a different story. And then some other things is the quality of listing. So we want to know roughly how many keywords we're indexing for. Early on, we're not going to index for a ton. I mean, if we could be on the first page of SERP results for 10 long tail keywords, that would be great. You got to think the first 2 to 2.5 months, it's getting the listings on point, getting inventory into Amazon, educating the customer on how to properly package and label everything. Like, there's a bit of a process. So the first 2 to 2.5 months, we're not even advertising yet. So that's lost time in phase one, but it's a necessary evil. We're also doing extensive marketplace research so that you understand as the seller what the investment is, where the opportunity is around specific keywords and categories, where there's weaknesses in your competitors in terms of product and share of voice, which is their share of Amazon search results. So a lot of that goes in. So the deliveries of those during phase one definitely helps. And then if we could jump into phase two, I could kind of talk through.
Sure. Yeah. So second phase, at this point, we just have a little bit more of established listing. And the goal is to kind of get more efficient and to try to make more money. If by the end of this phase, we could be at a $2 return on ad spend, we're going to be really happy. And this is going to be month 7, essentially through month 12. So this will wrap out the end of the year. Some of the things that we would recommend starting here is now we need to figure out how to get specific KPIs kind of going. Ideally, totally category agnostic, but we'd like at a minimum our conversion rate to be around 10% if possible for very relevant keywords that we're trying to index for. Ideally, we're doing about 20%. How do we move the needle? How do we get conversion rate up? How do we get click-through rate up? So there's a couple things we can do, but we have the ability to essentially split test on Amazon. And that is the ability to test our title, to test the content on the listing, and the product images to see what's going to get the most clicks and what's going to get the most sales. This can be done through SellZone, which is one of the softwares that we recommend and use at Bellavix, but it could also be done on Amazon through Manage My Experiments. And some things you might consider testing is reducing the product title to reduce noise and encourage more customers to click, make your title more descriptive with specific attributes of interest or solving a problem, adding creative product imagery that will stand out. Keep in mind your first image can only be manipulated so much. It needs to be on a white background, can't include a lot of words, can't include a logo or emblem. But once you're on the product listing, the other images that you showcase and the order in which you showcase them is something you can kind of test around. But these are just some some of the things we would be looking at to get those specific KPIs up during phase 2. During this phase, we're also increasing our investment, and we're investing, in Amazon advertising as well as off Amazon advertising. So we would recommend a split of the budget, if 80% to your website, and if you direct 20% to an Amazon listing or to a specific store page, would be recommended as a way to kind of just get your brand in touch with your audience and to kind of build your reputation and the authority of your listing so that you could sell better. So we know that customers are going to be omnichannel. We've actually measured this. About 20% of customers spill over from your website just naturally as a way to check reviews or just the 2-day shipping because maybe your website's a little longer. So those are all reasons why, what we recommend from an investment perspective and things to consider. Amazon also has a program called the brand referral program that they're running that gives you a reduction up to 10% off of your fees on Amazon. So they're incentivizing getting more people over to their platform and in time for the holidays. Q4 is right around the corner. Some programs with the overall goal of building your brand on Amazon, building your reputation, and getting products competitive. Ideally, when we leave out of this phase, we have a few hundred reviews. We are priced competitively. We know the language. We're ranking for maybe closer to 100 keywords, and we're starting to take up some of that market share. So that when we get into phase 3 is all about, all right, how do we invest strategically to get to a point where this product can become a cash cow? And during phase 2 is an opportunity where we'll have a good idea of return on investment for a specific category. So if we leave phase 2 and this product just isn't selling, it's just a very saturated market, our price point, our selling proposition isn't resonating on Amazon, that would be the period where you may consider peeling back and focusing on another product line or category that happens to be doing well. We know it takes time, but it also comes down to, cash flow. What does it look like if you have a larger catalog? So all things to consider during phase 2 and kind of creeping into phase 3.
Quick favor, guys. If you enjoy these shows and have been a listener for quite some time now, we would really appreciate it if you could take the time to give us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcast app may be. Having lots of ratings and audience feedback makes our show become more visible across multiple platforms. And it also supports our mission of helping as many people as possible to become better marketers and better entrepreneurs. So if you're not driving and it wouldn't be dangerous, pause this thing right now and give us an honest review over your podcast app. And we will love you even more than we already do. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I have a few questions regarding stuff that you mentioned in phase 2. So first of all, are there any elements that a lot of people misconception in regards to elements that should be in your product listing that you guys feel that it's not like the best practice? So for example, someone who doesn't have the images that you're using, or like a common belief in regards to the titles that it should be this long, but you guys think that it should be shorter. So any common misconceptions in regards to the listing?
Oh yeah, I could talk about listings all day. So I think a couple tips, I would say, when I'll just talk through a couple of them. When you create your title, well-written title using natural language, how it shows up in your search term report, which you can get from advertising, with minus misspellings, of course, should be in your title. And we shoot to have one top keyword and then 3 kind of particular keywords. So if we want to, back to a Bluetooth speaker example, if we want to rank for Bluetooth speaker, that's going to be the root keyword. That's the one keyword we're focused around. And then we might find 3 other, attribute type. It's all going to be based on how people search. So somebody searching for a waterproof Bluetooth speaker for the shower is going to search somebody who might have a skin concern. So keep in mind your specific category and doing proper keyword research to understand how people search for your product, and making sure that your title is hyper-focused on solving that one problem. And one problem at a time will help with relevancy and help build your brand quicker. When it comes to your bullets on your page, so you get 5 bullets, want to make sure you're using all 5 of them. A tip is make sure the first 70 characters are the most mobile friendly. So I don't know if you guys have ever been on Amazon, but have seen bullets with all capitalization for the first 70 characters, essentially calling out some aspect or feature. That's a way. We use all capitalization, and we call out, unique selling proposition or just something people are looking for. And the concept is that at this point, yes, we want to have some keywords in there, but they already clicked on our listings, so they're on our page. So at this point, it's about selling the product. What's unique about the product? So what we find a lot of sellers make the mistake when it comes to these bullets is like they're just stuffing in keywords and still trying to think about ranking more, and they forget about the user experience. So when we craft our bullets, we keep in mind that mobile impact. We make sure that the USPs using those first 70 characters or capitalized or callouts. So that somebody who's skim reading, which a lot of us do, I know it happens on websites as well, can understand, check the boxes. Is this product waterproof? Is it safe for the shower? Yes. Does it have this or this? Great. For that impulse shopper, add to cart. We want to be that. We want that. So that's something to keep in mind with the bullets. Your description, this is the bottom of the page. At this point, these customers have, they saw you in search, they clicked on your listing, your bullets are checking the boxes, and this is the customer that just needs a little more information. So same thing, what we find is like not well formatted descriptions. It's just like a big block of text and nobody is going to read that much. So make sure you're formatting it where it's spaced out and you're calling out all these other features and factors that are considerations. Maybe it comes with a USB plug or it comes with a bag. These things that it wasn't important enough to make the bullets, but it's still important and might drive somebody to make that purchase, would be what you want to include in the description. The description is also indexed, and I believe it's 2,000 characters. I'd have to double check, but you have a lot of characters with the description. When you're a registered brand, the trademark, you file your trademark essentially with Amazon, you get access to a whole suite of features that the average seller doesn't have access to. These are different advertising features as well as features to enhance your product listing. So in place of a description for the brand registered brands, there's something called A+ content and your brand story. And this is the ability on your product detail page to showcase your brand through images and text and description and comparison of products and lots of different ways you can use it to showcase your brand, to showcase the unique features of this product that weren't mentioned in the title, as well as to showcase complementary products or other products in your catalog that go along with this specific product. So maybe I have a Bluetooth speaker, and then I also sell a plunger you could stick on the shower wall to hang the speaker off of because I want to sell it separate for some reason. That would be, a great way to kind of tie those products together, and that's a feature. The last piece that a lot of people, I can't tell you how many people ignore, and when we do audits, we go and look for this because it just seems to be missed. So there's structured data like on a website, but same thing on your Amazon. So if you download a category report on your products, it'll showcase how it's categorized, your title, all the unique features of your listing. But something super easy for users to handle is the back-end search term. So these are additional keywords that you just didn't have to put in your listing. And so, but it's still relevant to your product. So it's a great way to kind of help Amazon's A9 algorithm index your product even more. You get 250 characters, they call them bits. And you don't want to mention any keywords that are already in your title and your bullets or your description. So you're looking for a lot of these vaguer keywords. So it might be like just category specific. So with the Bluetooth speaker, I might also want to rank for headphones, for example, or earpieces, or something to swap out buttons on the specific device. This is done through keyword research. So I'm giving terrible examples, but
fine.
This is the right software. It kind of gives you a list and you go like, oh, all of these things twin pack. Like these are different features that it makes sense to have on the back end to kind of help us index better. And Amazon's not going to index your product for the most part on like one keyword. So it's putting these different pieces together based on the information in your listing. So back-end search terms are a super easy way to just improve your indexation, and it's something most sellers miss. Don't use commas, don't mention other brands. That violates Amazon's terms of service. Outside of that, most everything's fair game.
Awesome, great. So much info and value. I'm writing a lot of stuff down, but I'm sure I need to review this afterwards if I decide to launch an Amazon listing. Another question I wanted to ask you in regards to the second phase. So you mentioned reviews and pricing. First of all, is there any ways to control the reviews? I know a lot of people are talking about this. Some are using like gray hat and black hat methods, but is there a way to optimize reviews in a white hat method?
Yeah, so we only use white hat, to be clear. There are lots of ways to cheat the system. And I will say you will get caught by Amazon. And Amazon will kick you off, period. They will tie it to your bank account. You will not be able to sell anything on Amazon. So it's not something we recommend. And we've taken on sellers as a project to kind of get those brands reinstated. And we haven't been able to.
Wow.
When you violate this policy, you're off. You're out of Jeff's world, period. So we tell everybody it's not worth it. Your audience will come, they will buy your product, and they will leave good reviews. But there are some best practices. So I'm not saying, but this is the challenge. So reviews, as everybody knows, validates the listing. It does actually improve ranking. It gets you badges. It also gets you on the back end into different betas and, into just a lot of different things that are benefits to help sell your product. Amazon is always looking to help its sellers kind of move more product through different initiatives, which is nice. But there's a couple things you can do. So the first thing, Amazon has something on the back end called a request to review feature. The request to review feature allows you to send out a request up to 28 days after somebody makes a purchase. This request comes directly from Amazon, so it gets the most engagement. This is something we do pretty religiously with all the accounts we work on. And you would get an email from Amazon that's like, hey, hope you love this product. Picture of the product. Would you leave us 5 stars leave a review? You can't ask for positive reviews. And then there it is. It gets engagement. To give you guys some rough numbers, like if you're doing 2% conversion rate on your request to reviews, you're doing pretty good. Like generally, most people opt out of these emails. They aren't very well delivered, which is why you have to build that brand. You got to get those sales up, or you got to tap into an email marketing list and have it just follow its normal process to acquire these reviews, legit. The other thing you can do is the post-purchase email sequence. So there are softwares like Feedback 5 that you can implement that'll automatically do that request to review, but you have the ability to send out a custom email at any point of the process. So we love this because it's just a great way to articulate the brand and have a really good customer experience. But normally you set it up where when an item ships, when the item a few days after it's delivered to check in, and then it's limited to, there's only so many follow-ups. So there's different, you'd have to pick which 1 or 2 you wanted to use. But a couple of them are usually 5 to 7 days after a purchase, reaching out and asking how their experience is. If they're having issues with it, reach out to us by sending a message through the platform. You can have them reach out off the platform, or click this link here, or would you mind sharing honest feedback about our product. And another strategy we use for consumable product is on day 28. If we know something's a 30-day supply, we'll send a check-in asking how their experience was with our product, and then also as a gentle reminder that they bought this product, maybe they need to refill, and an opportunity to showcase a few other products. Another method outside of that is the Vine program for brand registered brands. So Amazon has Amazon influencers or Amazon associates that will just straight up buy the product and leave a review. It's done through Amazon. It's legitimate, and that's a way to get 30 reviews on your first product. So we would definitely recommend when you launch getting into the Vine program and leveraging that to at least get your first handful of reviews. And that is kind of the methods that we recommend to get reviews on your listing.
Awesome. Great. And with regards to pricing, are there a lot of opportunities to optimize the pricing?
So Amazon has the lowest price guarantee. And as a seller, when you sign on, you pretty much tell Amazon that it will have the best prices. If it doesn't, and the algorithm catches you, which it will, especially if you're larger brands, if the algorithm catches you it'll just suppress your listing. You won't get as much organic traffic. So it's important that, outside of specific promotions, that, your Amazon's matching your lowest price, which is usually your website. When it comes to pricing competitively, if you own the brand and you're the only person on the listing, you pretty much have full control over the price. Regarding the MAP policy, so this is something we deal with pretty regularly with some of the brands we work with. It's a little more challenging when you have a lot of wholesalers that are selling on Amazon. So making sure that you have MAP enforcement, that you're selling to wholesalers, that where they're sending out their products to the end user. That's a great way to control for counterfeit products, because that is a big problem on Amazon. Those are how you control. Outside of that, there are softwares like Repricer you can use that will, reprice your listing automatically. And that is more of like a wholesale type retail arbitrage strategy. So I know there's software that does it. I haven't actually used it, so I can't talk to it.
Great. Okay, so let's move to the third and last phase.
Beautiful. So the last phase, at this point, we kind of know what works, and we just want to drive sales. We have a product that's a cash cow. The uniqueness of our listing, or like whatever else is really resonating with our audience. So something we like to do, probably start this in phase 2 once we have validation, is something called programmatic advertising. And this is Amazon DSP. So let me just say, it's not uncommon for brands, and especially for finance people, to really want to keep their investments separate. So we, like I mentioned earlier, we ask for an 80-20 split on your Google AdWords or your Facebook to drive back to an Amazon property. And a lot of brands will resist because the CFA or whatever, CFO, excuse me, can't separate the budgets. It makes things too complicated. And so it kind of makes it difficult for us. Like on Amazon, when people search, it's bottom of, they're in market. They're either searching for the brand, so they've been exposed to our brand, or they're searching for a solution. So, garlic press, for example, waterproof Bluetooth speaker. But they're already in market. They've already educated themselves, and especially for higher priced items. If you're selling a mattress, a piece of furniture, an electronic equipment that's above $100, they're likely doing research before they come to Amazon, and they're checking your Amazon to cross-check reviews to see if it's better shipping and to see what the price is, or if you're running some type of promotion. Keeping that in mind is you have to fuel the top of the funnel. It's just basic marketing. We have to get in front of people. Especially if Amazon is something that is going to grow on its own. So Amazon has a platform called DSP, programmatic. It can be run directly through Amazon or service providers. So as an agency, I'm a service provider, and I have what's called a seat on Amazon DSP. And this is our ability to do full funnel marketing on Amazon using a CPM strategy. So I know it's typical to a couple of AdRoll and some of the other programmatic solutions out there. This is Amazon's. And the difference between Amazon's data and Google data and Facebook data, and why we're able to get good performance information, is because Amazon's data is based on Amazon shoppers, like actual shopping behavior linked through the devices that, a lot of Americans are using. Shop on Amazon, versus Google, which is based on browser behavior and search, and Facebook, which is based on engagement through social. So there's lots of different ways to target these different customers, but Amazon's value is they actually have shopping data. They know when people are in market. They're able to kind of pick up things, pick up shopping trends, and help. So with that being said, we have the ability to kind of do brand awareness, increase our awareness in the consideration phase, own our aisle, so when they're actually shopping that in market, and then drive purchase, and then drive loyalty. So we're able to kind of build these audiences and retarget shoppers, target shoppers who viewed our brand but didn't make a purchase, target shoppers who viewed our competitors' products but never viewed our brand. And we have the ability to target them on and off of Amazon. So this is on Amazon owned and operated properties, on the Amazon published services, as well as the third-party exchanges. So you can definitely get out there and get your presence out there. And this is, I would say, an advanced strategy. But one of the benefits of working with an agency or directly with Amazon is that we actually get access to Amazon support. So we'll work directly with an Amazon rep to kind of help build out your strategy. And some of the benefits of this package is, the remarketing, but also there are things that are difficult to calculate because of Amazon's on the seller side, but having access to a rep, we could figure out lifetime value. We can get a better idea of cost per acquisition, and we could kind of put things into perspective where we know essentially where each dollar is invested and what the likely outcome is in terms of lifetime value for the brand and the customer, and how we compare to our peers. How much is a very similar brand investing? What does their output look like? So this is, this is kind of like a powerful strategy, but programmatic and DSP is how we take brands and kind of take them to the next level. And I can share 2 examples with you where we took 2 different brands that were doing, give or take. There seems to be this threshold when you're doing Amazon, where like 70 to 100K a month is like a lot of brands will hit. And they kind of just can't get past that. And what we found, on top of best practices, I'm simplifying it, but one of the advertising strategies that have helped kind of grow these brands to the next level was implementing a proper DSP strategy that's building a prospecting funnel and doing proper remarketing to build lifetime value on the platform. And both of these brands, we were able to scale from just that $100,000 mark to $500,000 a month. Last month, the supplement company did 600K. So it's a very effective strategy, but your listings have to be, validated. They have to have reviews. You have to have a competitive price point. And they do a lot of that other 50%. They're building a brand off of Amazon. So I just want to put in perspective, like how all of this can drive together to be a very lucrative and good channel for you to consider. So, the partners we work with, wholesale is usually number 1, getting into retail, but Amazon and your website can compete for number 2 in terms of volume. So if you're doing $1.3 million a year on your website and you're not doing anything on Amazon, you don't have a listing, you have the opportunity to kind of match that on Amazon. And what sells really well on your website is probably going to sell really well on Amazon. So there's a lot of synergies between the two. And if you're not invested, if you're not in a position to capitalize on that, you're leaving money on the table. And it's, your competitors are eating that up, or you have these hacks who are wholesaling your brand and not representing your brand properly. You get a lot of negative reviews, a lot of damaged shipments, a lot of product that's questionable in terms of, is this legit, especially beauty supplement space. So these are all things for you to consider as a brand, and consideration for your customers, your end users, the people who are building you up. So I will get off my soapbox, but that is a little bit about programmatic and the value of it, really.
Awesome, great. And programmatic specifically sounds like a very powerful tool, especially since you have all this data for Amazon. But I wanted also to emphasize the fact that you did a great job simplifying the process. But a lot of people, when they hear the podcast, they might think, okay, we'll simplify everything. I have the best practices. Let's go and do it. But it couldn't be further from the truth, because obviously for each element and each best practice that you share, there are very small nuances that are dependent on the target audience, on the market, if it's a supplement, if it's a consumable. So everything is way more complex than you conveyed, which is great because you simplified everything. But I want people to take into account the fact that it's not as easy as it seems, and you acquired this knowledge after testing a lot and seeing a lot of data.
Yes, thank you for to be clear, I've been doing Amazon for over 10 years now. The team I work with have been doing it for a minimum of 4 years, and I'm leaving a lot out. There's a reason why I could run a full-time agency just doing Amazon. It's its own ecosystem. So yes, thank you. But I implore you to try it out. We get a lot of people we work with that just get stuck. And I actually work with a lot of great people that figure it out, or they come out teaching me something. So definitely try it out. But yes, it's not, I'm simplifying it. There's a lot more to it.
Exactly. Cool. And what exactly, so you mentioned that you have different types of customers. So can you a bit elaborate about the types of customers and who should consider approaching you guys?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So we work really with retail brands. So if you are selling wholesale and you have distribution, Whole Foods, Targets, anywhere in retail, and you're having trouble putting the right team in place, you're not satisfied with your current agency, you're not growing sales on Amazon, especially if you have this level of brand, and also or you're having map policy issues, like we're the guys who you can reach out to that we can help solve these problems. We also work with e-commerce brands. I would say if you're doing at least $1.5 million a year, we can have the conversation. We steer away from launches, so ideally you're already doing $40,000 to $50,000 a month on Amazon, and we can come in and kind of help you accelerate that. We really specialize in helping brands that have a small presence kind of grow their presence even more. So while we're experiencing launch and working with products and businesses of all levels of maturity, that's kind of our sweet spot. Those retail users or those brands doing about 40 to 50K a month and helping them kind of level up to that next level.
Awesome. Sounds great. And one more question regarding the marketplace, the different marketplaces. So we haven't spoken about this, but generally the advice that you gave is relevant for all the marketplaces. I know obviously there are differences between Amazon UK and Amazon Germany and Amazon US, but in general, you specialize in Amazon US?
We do US, Canada, UK, now the EU, because they're going to be separate thanks to Brexit, which is a whole level of complexity that I would take another hour for you to we pretty much do all the marketplaces outside of India and Japan. We work with a translation service, so we can do Italian, French, German. International is a huge opportunity too. I didn't even mention it here, but if you're doing, 100K a month, and you will be doing very well. And the German marketplace is a very large one, as well as the UK. So lots of opportunity for sure. And I didn't mention it either. Walmart is another marketplace as well, that there's lots of opportunity. If you move into Walmart now, it's an early mover. So thinking about you're getting on Amazon 10 years ago, like having a listing with thousands of reviews, that's the opportunity. From a size, it's an investment now. We are, roughly 5 to 15% of sales that we do on Amazon is what we do on Walmart. So it's still small compared to Amazon and your website, but getting on there as a first mover is a really big opportunity. And for brands that have a vendor account or leveraging Walmart fulfillment services, there are strategies you can implement to kind of maximize your impact. But that's another brand centric and a lot of conversations on nuances, because your shopper on Walmart is different from your website shopper. That's going to be different from your Amazon. So they require specialized strategies. But I don't want to drone on. So that's a bit about the international marketplaces and the next investment I recommend, which is getting into Walmart now.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Will. We covered a lot of ground. Is there anything else that you would like to mention before we finish?
Yeah, I would just say, first, we were named top Amazon SEO agency in 2021 by the SEOblog.com. So we're super humbled that be recognized as just somebody who's a thought leader in the space. And I just want a big shout out for having me on. I love talking Amazon strategy, and I hope that your listeners found a lot of value out of this. And I implore all of them to reach out on LinkedIn or directly on our website. I'm happy to share the knowledge, and we have lots of material on our website, including blogs and white papers where we talk about best practices, daily and weekly checks, and just marketplace information that can help you be more informed, whether you work with us or another agency.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, we'll share the links in the show notes, also to your guys' website and also to your LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much. It was mind-blowing to me because, as I said at the beginning, I don't know much about Amazon, but now I think I kind of have the structure. Obviously, a lot of knowledge to acquire if I decide to go and publish on Amazon, but it was a great introductory to Amazon, and I appreciate it. Hi guys, this is Yaron again. Just a few more things before you take off. Number 1, if you want to learn more about e-commerce and marketing, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, which is called EcomXFactor Official. Number 2, check out our Facebook group, which is called EcomXFactor Marketing and E-commerce Mastermind. This is a great place to ask questions and connect with other business owners. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues, plus leave a review at your favorite podcast app.